Hello, my dear Capricorn. This is your love and spirituality reading for the month of November 2018 with me, Queen of Cups Tarot. We are ending into Scorpio season, so wish all Scorpios out there a happy birthday. I read for the signs in order of most liked videos, so remember to hit the thumbs up button for your sign. See here. You can see the order I read in this time around at the community section of my channel. Thank you all for liking, watching, commenting, donating and subscribing to my channel. I'm so grateful for all of your appreciation, and especially from you, Capricorn, because you have really appreciate my reading lately. And it wasn't the ghost that you just saw, it was my dog trying to find a resting place, so that's a little bit ghosty. So this reading can go both ways. So if I tell you that you are feeling or acting in a certain way, it can be in the reverse, that the person you are dealing with is feeling and acting in that way. Then it's just the same, it's just different castings to the different roles by the universe. These messages is for the people who watch this, and if you cross-watch for another sign and recognize yourself as the main person in the reading, just trust your own intuition and you will get the message you need. For this reading, I will use the Druidcraft Tarot by Philip and Stephanie Cargome, illustrated by Will Worthington, and I will start shuffling your cards. So, my dear Capricorn, see what's going on. When I open the deck here, I see 7 of Cups and 8 of Swords. So it seems like you have both a troubled mind and a troubled heart, or someone that you are dealing with is kind of stuck in their thought loop, but also with their emotions. 7 of Cups is usually a person that's lost with their emotion. They don't really know themselves fully. 7s are always challenges, spiritual challenges, and this is a spiritual challenge to learn to get to know your own emotions. Usually with the 7 of Cups we try to avoid them. It's some situation we try to avoid, some situation that gives us certain kind of emotion that we don't like, so we're trying to get away from it, but we're always seems to circle back to being exactly in the place where we don't want to be, feeling the exact same thing that we don't want to feel. 8 of Swords is kind of the same thing, but here it's about your thoughts patterns instead, and the values and moral codes which you live by. And this girl on the picture, she actually doesn't live by her own moral codes and values. She lived by all these people, their opinions around her. Like, you should be like that, you should not be like that, you should be like this, you shouldn't do like that, you should do like this, and so on, until she doesn't know herself anymore and her own moral compass, and actually try to live by other people's expectations, which leads to she doesn't know herself. So this is frankly a person that doesn't know themselves so well. They try to adapt themselves to living in this world, but it's very hard. They try to have different emotions than what they have. They try to feel or think different things than what they naturally do. So we can say that this is a person that's being a little bit in war with themselves and therefore not knowing themselves completely. The solution for all this is to feel your feelings, even if they're uncomfortable, and maybe even seek out certain situation that makes you feel uncomfortable as a spiritual practice, and during that encounter, feeling your feelings and staying with them, and that is actually going to the source of these troubled emotions and facing them. With the 8 of Swords, we need to start to ask ourselves questions. If someone tells you, like, this is what you should do, is this really what you think you should do? Don't go with what the other person says. Go with what you say and trust your own authority. Even if you don't know best, maybe the other person knows, in fact, better than you, but you need to find it out for yourself. When you're living by other people's rules, you lose the grip and the connection with your true self. We usually can't help. We need to make our own mistakes. We can't live by other people's rules rule book. So I'm thinking this is a person that is, on one hand, they are trying to be very convenient, almost eliminating their own personality and only have the kind of personality that another person would accept. On the other hand, they might be very rebellious towards this, and therefore most likely there is a lot of troubled relationships. Yes, the Ten of Wands here. It's a lot of suppression. A person tried to act very good and trying to work very hard on being what other people are expecting them to be, but it's costing daily. We see this person is weighed down by their struggles and their burdens, and it might be other people's way of being is a burden to you, or their expectations is a burden to you. So if this is a male person, they will probably try to not have feelings at all. They don't want to admit to even feeling like this, and therefore there's a lot of holding back of emotion. It's like holding back your natural expression. Okay, so I call the divine with love and light. And here we have the Sun card together with the Eight of Swords. So this is your soul. This is your true being. The person you were when you came. This is the solution. To start to become aware of your troubled emotion. To start to become aware of when you're subordinating yourself to other people's opinions. Eight of Swords can also be you being totally lost in your own thoughts. You want to do this, but it's not possible because then this will happen. And you could solve it like this, but that is not an option because then this will be the consequence. So the more you're trying to figure it out, the more entangled you will get in this thought loop. So sometimes the best thing you can do is to stay aware inside your true self and kind of watching the situation a little bit from above like the sun, and you will shed light on what's need to be done in the situation. Instead of trying to figure it out, just look at the situation, look at your feelings, look at your fears, your thoughts. Just be the awareness instead of being the thoughts or being all entangled in your feelings or running away from them. You can just watch them all with your awareness, with your soul. So I call the 4 archangels in the 4 corners of the world, and here we see 4 wands together with 8 of swords. 4 of wands is self-love. It's about being really grounded. It's like when the tower situation, when the tower has swept away everything that's not necessary, what's left is the rock solid foundation. Your self-love, your self-respect, your values, your moral codes, your soul, these rock solid things, and that's the new foundation for any endeavor or relationship or whatever you want to have. Some of you are also in committed love relationship that might feel like a little bit of a prison for you, but why they feel like a prison is because with the 8 of swords you are kind of here outside your own soul. With the 4 wands you're centered. Here you are trying to live up to other people's expectation and be something that you're not. If you can like align with yourself, you will become inside your own soul, and there will be no more confusion. But to be able to do this, you need to be courageous, and you need to be open, you need to be vulnerable and tell people and yourself exactly what's the truth, and take the consequences for what you need to do. And also maybe admit to feelings you have that you don't want to admit to thoughts that you have that you don't want to admit to because you don't know the consequences of the truth coming out. So I call the 6 elements: earth, wind, fire, water, spirit, and ether to join us here today and to give us a clear view reading for my dear Capricorn viewers. So I want my dear Capricorn to have love in their lives and to find themselves in loving relationships. I also want you to have creative success and to be able to walk on your highest path towards your highest destiny. Okay, so I both saw the King of Coins, but also the Devil picking up their heads, and both are representative of you Capricorn. So I don't know exactly what that wants to say, but it's like accepting your own nature because you're awesome. So it's not much more to say about that. So we'll just tune in for a few seconds here to you and this energy of the month of November. So my dear Capricorn, this is your future there. And this is your now, and this is your past. So in the past we have the Hangman. So it seems like you have gone through some spiritual quest, some kind of spiritual epiphany, something that was really hard and that you felt was keeping you back maybe from your dreams or fulfilling your dreams. So it was almost like you felt like the world was working against you, but actually you were held back until you were able to learn some kind of lesson. And it's not a lesson about how bad you are and how you should be instead. It's a lesson about getting to know yourself, maturing, growing up, becoming your true self. So it's a beautiful situation, but it kind of disrupted you from doing what you were set out to do, what you with your human mind or your soul's vision were wanted to accomplish. So you felt disrupted, like someone was coming and disrupting your plans, or people or the universe or life didn't cooperate with you fully. But why this happened, why there was forks in the road and or blocks in the road, was so you could become more yourself, or find out things that you needed to find out to be able to continue. So you needed to be challenged and solve these challenges so that you could grow. Okay, and this is your now, and we have the Prince of Pentacles. Prince of Pentacles is usually Taurus, but might be also representing of Capricorn. Yes, and Virgo, of course. So Prince of Pentacles is a very sturdy energy. It's the slowest of all the knights. Knights are, in other case, very hasty energies. It's young male energy, like an arrow heading somewhere. But the Prince of Pentacles is not like that. It's like when everyone runs towards their goal, the Prince of Pentacles is a little bit laid back. Watch how it goes for the other that runs, and try to determine from that what they see, how they will choose. So it's like almost a person that's a little bit of a beginner, or they are a little bit shy, or they are very determined on not making mistakes. Sometimes a person that doesn't want to make mistakes has a little bit of an ego, so they don't want to be humiliated, they don't want to be ashamed. But mainly here with the Hangman energy in the past and this slow Prince of Pentacles kind of turtle energy, there's someone that doesn't feel like they have experience enough to cope with the situation. So you might be dealing with someone that's a little bit of a beginner, or feel like a beginner in the field that you are operating together with them on. So if you feel like someone is slow, or like not cooperative, they are, maybe even you feel like they're working against you, or it might be that they just don't have the experience just yet to deal with the situation, or do the thing that you want them to do. So you might be waiting for someone that's really slow. Okay, and this is the future, and we have rebirth. So you saw the Hangman, and then this Knight of Pentacles, and here we have rebirth. So this is the moment when the person actually makes a decision and starts to like they have grown into the situation, and they now feel like they know what they should do, they know enough to make a decision. We also had the Eight of Swords in the beginning with the Seven of Cups. It's like a person, I don't know myself, I don't know what I want, I don't know my dreams, I don't know what's the best course of action here, so I'm stuck, I don't know how to choose. But here with the rebirth in the future, the trumpet is sounding, and people are going to be able to make a grown-up decision. So eureka, finally, or yeah, hallelujah. Okay. So, my dear Capricorn, here we have the past, and we have the Fool here. We also had the Hangman. This is like a very spiritual quest for the soul. We are going out on this quest with all this positive attitude and think that everything is going to work out just fine, but we will meet obstacles on our way that will make this journey seems less light and less dreamy. So it's like a reality check, or a little bit of a wake-up call for the Fool. But when we set out for something, we don't see all the obstacles, we just see the possibilities. So it's a very beautiful card of trusting yourself, trusting your soul, trusting the universe, and do what needs to be done without having so much fear for the future. So there might be two energies that's very not much like each other. One energy that's more positive, naive, blue-eyed, if you say so, and another that's more shy, laid back, suspicious, maybe even. So when two different natures like this meet, one will not be able to understand the other. But as this situation progresses, we will learn from each other and get more and more experienced, and also one day be able to see the other person's point of view. But it will take time. It won't happen immediately, but the whole journey is kind of for this to happen, for us to be able to see the other person's point of view. So this very positive person that doesn't see any obstacles will eventually see, okay, there's a lot of obstacles, and sometimes I can't just throw myself into a situation. I need to start to choose better lovers, better place of work, maybe better place of living, instead of buying that old house that has a lot of potential but endless work for decades to come, which you see as no problem because you have this positive attitude. The other personality I see in this reading would not buy that house, but then maybe they will miss out on something. They won't throw themselves in that new job or in that new relationship, but their life will also be small. So that person might learn eventually that if I don't take chances, I will miss out. So there's 2 points of view here, and one is going to learn from the other, and that is the whole meaning of this. Okay. And here we have the Five of Swords. So that's the battleground where these two energies meet. And it might hurt. It's like meeting a new culture. You think everything is wrong with them. Why are they acting like that? Why do they have that point of view? You can't understand anything, and it's a clash, and it's a war, and there's a lot of conflict, and you think you are right and the other person is wrong, and this is what's happening. Five of Swords, Five of Coins, Five of Cups, Five of Wands, all these fives that's connected to the Taurus card of the High Priest. We also have Taurus here with the Prince of Pentacles, so some of you might be dealing with Taurus. It's about having experiences that you can put in your library. First, you come to this battle with your own point of view, but battling long and hard enough, you will start to see the other person's point of view. Many people that have been to war, after they have been to war, they recognize that the other person were fighting kind of for the same thing that I did, and I don't understand why the war was happening in the first place. So usually we come to some kind of understanding by the battle, but before we had this battle or this clash of will, we had our very strong opinion that we were right, and our worldview was the only correct worldview. You are definitely meeting with someone that doesn't have the same mind frame as you, and you went into that with a positive attitude, but you might have get like a bad outcome from that. You like a crude awakening, we can say. Maybe the person, you thought that everything was going to play out nice, and if both of you would have been in that kind of mindset, it would have worked out fine. But now you met someone that was maybe suspicious, Maybe they came from a situation where they thought that you were trying to win over them when you just tried to create something beautiful together with them. So there was a situation here, and maybe this is the Fool walking away, and this person feel like the big eagle here chasing that little bird. So this is one way we can live our lives, being very suspicious, fight down every attempt of someone approaching us. We will probably have a lot of control, but we can't control everything, and our life will be a life of hatred, suspicion, always trying to figure out the person's next move. This person isn't like that. They just da 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 da, and then they meet someone like this, and they will see something new, like a new way of thinking. And here we have a Six of Swords. So this is the moment after the battle. Five of Swords, Six of Swords, when we have this kind of moment of awakening, or we are kind of digesting what we have been through and starting to see the truth of it. So for people that have been very they have been like very nationalistic, for example, like I love my country, I'm going to fight for my country, and then they leave for war, and this is when they come home and they see this greater picture, like they can see other people's point of view now, because they have been to the battleground and they have seen what has happened. And when they come back with a little bit of a wounded heart, but also with a greater understanding. So they have actually opened up to a more another dimension of vulnerability, where they can see the truth more clearly, and they are not so much on their high horses anymore. So this is a person that have developed spiritually and are actually riding here in this little boat. Boats are kind of relationships on the river Styx here, together with a hermit in the boat, and a couple, anima and animus, the male and feminine parts of you, the warrior, the witch and the warrior, and the hermit in the same boat. So this is when we start to integrate our different personalities, and the other person that was from this other culture, or they just lived across the street from you but had a totally different worldview. You now, after the battle, you're starting to think about what they said, what they can have meant with this, how things can have looked from their point of view, and you're starting to get a greater understanding. It's like, it's the understanding that comes from the heart, the kind of knowledge and science that comes from the heart. It's a kind of knowing that just grows inside of you. So it's very beautiful, and it's the same energy that we go through when we have near-death experience, or when we actually die. We kind of go and look at our lives in the rear view mirror and see what was going on, but we also see it from a higher perspective, and sometimes also from the other person's perspective, and we learn a great deal by this hindsight. But this isn't something we can do before we had the experience. We actually needed to have the experience and make the mistakes that were done to have this kind of epiphany. So it wasn't bad what happened. It was an experience that was needed, and the time after, when we digest and start to get the greater understanding, is when we harvest the good things, the knowledge that came out of this situation. Here we were hanging about having problems, but afterwards we will be able to finish the harvest. So there was always a reason for this kind of detour, or for this kind of challenges. It was hard on the Fool, but the Fool learned something in the process, and are now more experienced than what they were when they first started this journey. So also the most horrific experiences gives you knowledge, and that's why you are here as a soul, to gain knowledge. Okay, so this is in the now, and here we are, the High Priestess, and she has the knowledge. She doesn't have to have always direct experience. This is a person that's like born wise, and we can see the Fool here, someone coming down in their life, in an incarnation, animated life, as they say in old South American cultures. And here is the high priestess. So this is like a person coming down, and maybe from a very young age, as indicated with the Fool, have a very high knowledge. So it might be that you, Capricorn, are being born with a very high knowledge, that you were from childhood, you knew a lot of things, or either you are dealing with a person that's like this, and they knew a lot of things because they had a direct connection with the divine and with their subconscious. So this would be a person that has very vivid dreams. They might be able to know the future before it happened, or dream about it before it happened. It's also an entity that knows the other person's point of view just by telepathic understanding. So it's a very high energy that's coming in here. So I'm not sure what this energy is meaning just yet, but some person in this equation already have some kind of very high knowledge, and this is of course a very valuable asset. If you, maybe the person is allowing themselves to be the Fool because they know things, they know that they have the high spiritual knowing, and then you don't have to be so scared. You don't have to be hostile towards strangers. You don't have to be scared to make mistakes and so on, because if you have this higher spiritual knowledge, you know that we are just here for a little while. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. We came of earth and we will go back to being earth. We just borrow our bodies for a while. This is like animated life. We come with our soul down to a body that's about to be born, and we stay here for a little while, so we don't have to make so much fuss about it. So it's a young, naive energy, but in the same time ancient, like really old soul. Okay, next is the Moon card. So for a person like this that has this high spiritual knowledge, it can be very hard yet to understand people that haven't this high knowledge, because they still fight about petty things, and they still fear the dark. They still fear the memories of their childhood or past lives, or they fear what other people can reveal about them or know about them. This can be very very strange for a person that's very highly spiritual or very close to their soul, because they know that these kind of things doesn't mean anything, and therefore all the games that human beings play to be in superiority, to be superior to someone else, or to take control over them, seems meaningless and pointless, and it's really hard to understand. But with the Moon card here, it seems like there's a deep sense of not being able to understand the other person. So I think it goes both ways. This very highly spiritual person can't understand the petty person's way of being. Like, why on earth would you waste energy on arguing with me when that isn't necessary? We can just talk and compromise. But this person doesn't know anything else than arguing and winning over you, and, you know, stealing your stuff, stealing your dignity, stealing your self-respect. And this other person doesn't understand why. It's just going to cause this person karma. We're just going to have to go back and do this like 1,000 times again. It seems stupid, pointless. Why are this person doing this? So it can be very hard for a person that have lived many lifetimes on earth to understand a person that's a little bit more fresh here and maybe haven't the same experience. So it seems like this people are in a very different, they have very different backgrounds. Maybe their soul has been on different places, or made different conclusions about things. Maybe here one person, this is Pisces kind of energy. So maybe one person has a more kind of Jesus attitude to things. Buddha, Jesus, like turn the other cheek. And it's a cool attitude. You don't have to have so much drama in your life when you had like that, and you can be very courageous. You don't have to fear consequences. You know you are an eternal spirit. And this other person is maybe a little bit more like the classical like warmongers, dictators, people that's seeking for power. Jesus wasn't like that, and people that's very spiritual don't need power, but this person needs power. So the common ground here is total confusion. Total confusion. So it's the moon card is very much connected to the Seven of Cups card. When you don't know your emotions, you don't know yourself. You don't know where you have been and where you are going. The moon card is where you have been and where you are going. It's kind of the key to your whole soul, and all the past life experience is the key to your dreams. It's keys to everything. But these two cultures meeting like this is actually going to reveal a lot here. People are going to remember more. Maybe this person is going to remember lives when they were actually acting like this, so that they can grasp this greater understanding. Like kind of fetch that book. Okay, it's very old and it's very dusty, but you can still fetch it. And okay, yeah, this was the time when I was also acting like that. And yes, it was because I felt like this and this, and it was actually really important. And then you can start to understand what this person is all about. But this person will see that nothing is really is really like penetrating into this person. I can say rude things, and they kind of, yeah, okay. So what about my mother, or what about my upbringing, or what about, I'm not attached to that kind of ego things, because I stand in my own self-respect. You can't say these kind of things to me and expect me to react, because I have worked through all these things, and I accept myself. So this person won't get anywhere with their battles and their wars and their drama, because it doesn't take on this person. So they will be confused, and this person will be confused. There's a lot of confusion here, but it will lead to greater understanding. People will have to make an effort to understand the other person. The old ways that they have been, like trying to be very positive, or always ask your soul for direction, it doesn't really work here, because you can't understand this person. And this person is used to, like, if I scream really loud and I act really like a lunatic, people get scared and they do what I told them. And here it doesn't work. So these people are really going to have to take it a step further and trying to figure out what the other person is about. It's not easy, okay? But here with the Three of Pentacles that comes underneath Six of Swords, it shows that in the bottom of it all, you are rather like anyway, because both of your souls want to have this learning. They want to have this experience. So that is kind of what unites you. Even if you come from totally different points of view, or have lived with totally different worldviews overall, you still have this in common, because it seems like your souls won't give up on each other. They will try to overcome this and heal this and find a way and fix this. Three of Pentacles is a beautiful situation where we take something that needs to be fixed and we fix it. So it's simple as that. Very simple, straightforward energy. And it's a kind of a way to take responsibility. So this Prince of Pentacles that were all maybe about war here, because we can see it's a little bit like the same. They were actually scared, and here we have the fear. But when they are able to embrace their fear and try to figure out, okay, so what I usually do to deal with my fear, maybe to scare the other person even worse, doesn't work here. So what do I do instead? It's actually like they buckle up their sleeves and start to find a solution. So I think both people in this situation, or both groups of people, are solution oriented. You might not understand each other at all, but at least we now, even if it wasn't that before, now we want to find a solution. So that's very good. It's very fertile ground for something beautiful to grow. We'll see what happens with that. Here we have the Four of Swords. So Four of Swords, I'm thinking it's the Five of Swords, Prince of Pentacles kind of energy here. It's a person being like a little bit surprised, and I feel like they are grudgy. They hold grudges, but they also can't find a solution. It's kind of what I already told you. Like the old way of being doesn't work on this spiritual person here, or in this situation. It might be that it doesn't work in this situation. My old approach doesn't work. I don't get the response I'm used to. So now I'm puzzled. With the Four of Swords, there's no fighting. There might be no communication. People might have withdrawn to their like comfort zone and are not interacting anymore because they need to figure out a new way of doing this, because what they have done up till now didn't work. Okay, so Four of Swords, it feels like someone has gotten a little bit of a shock and is now trying to digest that kind of shock and find a better way of dealing with things. And it's a 4, so it might have to deal with the divine masculine side of things, that the divine masculine, the power, the side of you that wants power has gotten a little bit of shock that this power games doesn't work anymore, so with you or someone else. The next card is the Star card. So we have 18 Moon, 17 the Star, and their numerology counterpart is the Hermit and Strength. So this is a spiritual path that this person with the sword are onto. So they are going to catch up with this energy eventually. They are going to find the knowledge that this person already have. So they are actually going to, they know this with power, but now they are going to learn this with spirituality as well, like another side of things, that you don't always have to have things your way. You can still survive and still be happy, even if things doesn't go your way at all. You can be like, okay, I don't mind what happens. I'm doing my best to do what I think my soul wants and what I'm longing for, but I'm also accepting that the fruition or the reward doesn't come just yet, or it isn't here. It's a person being able to be grateful for whatever is, and not having to have things their way. So it seems like this person will eventually learn this, but it's a little bit painful, and it's almost like a little bit of a near-death experience, and also they might have to sum up knowledge that they have collected in past lives. So some of these people will have very vivid dreams and start to piece things together and start to get like a greater picture and a greater understanding also of how karma works, and what's the consequences of acting in a way that's so hostile that it actually have negative consequences for the soul. So this is something that this person is faced with and are going to have to deal with, and it seems very hopeful that the person will actually succeed with this and be able to get the knowledge that they need to solve the situation and move forward in more harmony, maybe with a soulmate or someone else that it was like a plan for them to meet in this lifetime. So it might be that you're dealing with a soulmate that has been a little bit of a power junkie, and that they're actually now starting to see another way, that there's another way forward. And here we have a King of Wands. So the person that you're dealing with might be an earth sign. It might also be Pisces, Cancer, maybe Scorpio, or a fire sign. We see a little bit of air as well, but the main person has been earth and fire. This is usually Aries, but might be in this deck it's an Aries. You can see it. Usually it's Leo, and it can also be a Sagittarius. But this person is a person that's able to win without petty arguments and fights, because this person has self-respect. They also have respect towards the other person. As long as that person has respect for them, they have no sword. They have their shield here, and they have a relaxed but interested and curious posture. So this is a person that's able, they have kind of grown into their soul, and they are able to approach you in a much more adult way. Okay, so it's a person that's solution oriented instead of conflict oriented. This can be a big win for a relationship, where the relationship can actually move forward because a person finally decides to be the better version of themselves. Instead of being petty, they now, okay, so I don't get my way by screaming in the grocery store at my mother for more candy. I actually need to be grown up and work for my own money and buy my candy myself. So it's a very different point of view. Sometimes we spoil people so that they don't grow out of their childhood behaviors. For example, narcissists, they sometimes are created because of deep trauma, but they can also be created by being frankly spoiled by their surrounding. They don't have to say, can you please send me this thing? They can just cry and scream, and people will in panic try to figure out what they want. But here the person have been forced to figure out themselves what they want. So the Seven of Cups and Eight of Swords that we saw in the first cards is actually something that's being dealt with now. So I'm getting to know myself. I'm getting to know what it is that I want, so I don't have to cause a big scene to get it. I can actually either fix it for myself or politely ask for it or cooperate with others to get it. So it's a much better position. I will read the Moon card for you since it's the central card here. See if it can give you some epiphany with this. So, a waxing crescent moon is in the sky. Its pale light reflected in the sea. In the foreground, a crab crawls out of the water. That's kind of Cancer. Beyond are two standing stones that form a gateway. These are the two stones depicted in the High Priestess card. You can pick up the High Priestess card as well. There, she stands in this doorway, but in the other way around, she kind of stands there. With her back turned against us in the Moon card. But we are looking at them now from the other side, just out to sea. Between the shoreline and the stone stands a wolf and a dog baying at the moon. So the wolf and the dog is the domesticated and the wild side of the divine masculine. Cats, as you see here, is the divine feminine. So it's kind of indicated in this reading that the divine feminine knows something that the divine masculine is about to learn when it comes to spirituality and kind of maybe being a little bit more cool in a situation, not controlling, not grasping, but actually being a little bit more kind of passive and going with the divine will and with the currents of life and the flow of life instead of trying to bend and twist and control, kind of relaxing. Okay, so I give up my struggle. How can I help with the flow of life instead of disrupting it or have it my way? So the wolf and the dog is baying at the moon. A rough path leads from the shore between the two dogs and stones and wends its way through the hills on the distant horizon. The two stones represent the gateway of fear that leads to rebirth. Six of Swords here with the near-death experience. Yes. And the wolf dog are guardians of the threshold and also potential allies and guides into the other world that lies beyond the gateway. The path through life can sometimes be difficult, but the more we enter into the mystery of existence, the richer the rewards. However far we have traveled, we can still fall victim to delusion and illusion. It's kind of the first two cards. Illusion, Seven of Cups, delusion, Eight of Swords. And yet this is no reason for us to hold back. Fear has its place in protecting us from danger and clarifying our emotional limits. But this card tells us that fear can also be our ally and teacher. Like if we feel bad about the situation, our emotions feels bad, we might need to have a boundary. So emotional limits. but we can also stay with our fear, and it will teach us something. The dog and the wolf sit spaying at the moon, and it takes courage to walk between them and on through the gateway of stones up to the lonely and rocky path that leads to a destination we cannot see. But if we have the courage to do this, we will discover that the dog and the wolf become our allies, guides in the other world, who will protect and show us the way. So for a feminine person, this will, or a person acting from the divine feminine side, this will mean that the divine masculine will become your ally, and vice versa, because we have the high priestess here. So a female person can act from their divine masculine side and be all about power, and a masculine can be the other way around. So I'm talking more about energies than actually genders, but here it's about kind of putting down your arms and starting to cooperate. And sometimes this have to happen by a lot of resistance, that old way of doing things does no longer work. Okay. So I have a new Oracle deck, Oracle of Angels. I did a review on it this morning, and I will take a card for you from this Oracle deck. And it's fulfillment that's coming. So it's like passing through a door. So it's much what we see here with the door. And the door seems to be a door of cooperating and, continue working on things. But maybe people are more reluctant to help you now. And when the war is over, maybe there's some people are starting to see the other person's point of view, and therefore being able to go into another side of their own persona instead of having the fight and trying to create this harmony. They actually seems to want to create harmony this time. So number 6, fulfillment. A sense of fulfillment often comes from the realization of a dream or the meeting of a goal you had set for yourself. Reflect on what it is you need right now in order to experience fulfillment. Create a vision in your mind of what you would most like to achieve today, this week, this year, and then take action, no matter how small a step it might be in the direction of your dreams. So it's also like this, that the divine feminine has learned from the divine masculine about power, about struggling for power or struggling for the things you want. So I'm also thinking that a person that might have been more passive and kind of following the flow before and just waiting until the divine present what's going to happen is actually more of a go-getter now and have much more energy probably to fulfill their goals. So it's a win-win here. The divine masculine have learned that power isn't all, that you can actually be passive and go with the flow and have a lot of achievements. And the divine feminine have learned to kind of use their voice and their emotion to maybe put boundaries and protect their own energy much better, and therefore having more energy to create whatever you are dreaming of in your life. So you're not giving your power away anymore, you have it for yourself. So my projects become the perfect fulfillment of myself in harmony with the universe. I believe in myself and in my potential as a creator. It makes my dreams come true. I fulfill myself through my daily actions, through unconditional love, faith, wisdom, and positive thinking. And so be it. So that was a little bit of a prayer for you. So it seems like you are in a very positive circle of life where things will start to agree with you. And it's because of your own hard work that you have come to this place. It hasn't been without a price. And it has a price of blood, sweat, and tears. But now you have reached some kind of point where it's a tipping point. So what has been a lot of your personality before has now got a companion in another side. So if you have been very feminine before, you will also become more masculine. If you have been more masculine, you will become more feminine. So this is a win-win. You have learned from the other side, and you have now more tools in your toolbox to be able to create a happy life for yourself. And the King of Wands is the creator. So it's time for you, Capricorn, to go out and create your dreams. Either with going with the flow or taking direct action. Depends on what it is that you just have learned, because it's like a new gateway has opened for you with new ways of doing things. So my dear Capricorn, I hope this helps. I want you to take really good care, and I also want to welcome you back to my December reading that will perform in the mid of November. Okay, thank you for watching, and bye bye.